Hello everyone. It is the most wonderful time of the year in Amigo Studios. Just arrived in my mailbox yesterday the annual RMC Charity Calendar. Now, if you don't know about the RMC Charity Calendar, this is put on by Neil from RMC, famous YouTuber extraordinaire to the stars. Every year he puts out this charity calendar to aid HEALS of Malmesbury. Malmesbury is a town, city, something like that in southern England, and this is a local charity that helps those folks in need. So it's for a very worthy cause, and I just thought that I'd take a second to look through it with you and talk about some of my memories from the systems and the computers that are featured in this calendar. And we start with the cover. This is a computer, of course, that's near and dear to my heart. This is the Atari 1200 XL with a plethora of games astride it. Full disclosure, I took this picture. This was my entry. Neil solicits entries from the internet far and wide to include in this calendar, and I was very honored to be featured on the cover. This game is the Return of the Jedi Death Star Battle, which was a game, one of the few games that I had on cartridge growing up. It's a really fun Star Wars game where you blow up the Death Star over and over and over again, just like you do in any good Star Wars game. But at any rate, then I've got Blue Max and an educational game called Creature Creator, which I'm going to do a stream of one of these days, as well as Star League Baseball, my favorite baseball game on the Atari, and a game that I own but I never did anything with. I had this since I was a kid, Movie Maker. I'm not sure where we purchased this from, but I was never really inclined to give it a go. I was always more of a gamer than a doer on the computer, unfortunately. But at any rate, let's dive right into the real entries of the calendar. First up, we have a Game Boy Color. Okay, so the Game Boy Color came along at a time when I was not really into video games. This was the early 2000s, maybe the late 90s, and I was just sort of out of the loop when it came to this generation of games. But I know that, of course, Pokemon was the great driver of the not only the Game Boy Color but the Game Boy Pocket that was released before the Game Boy Color. Sort of the ultimate portable role-playing machine, especially if you were into the Pokemon. I love the denim jacket with the Cave Dweller badge, and of course Nintendo Power just slightly peeking over the shoulder there. Fantastic magazine if you were a Nintendo kid in the 80s and 90s. So this is the crystal version of Pokemon, which I'm sure means something to someone, but not to me. Let's move on, shall we? And this was Mark Ellsworth was the person that submitted this particular photo. Oh, look at this. Okay, we're gonna flip over. I guess we'll do this first. This is Bad Dog Designs Custom C64 by Mark, who's known as Judge Drock. Hello. All right, so let's check this thing out. So this appears to be a wooden encased C64, and I love stuff like this. I love custom jobs, and it looks like it has the built-in speakers. It's an all-in-one closed box design. I did something not at all similar to this, but in the same vein. A while back, I endeavored to build a wooden box for a Monopoly game, and it was a lot of work. Woodworking is hard, you know, and the box, the worst thing about it was incredibly heavy. Wood is not light. It's not a light material, and so that got put in the closet and never to return. Lots of money, lots of time, lots of effort. Poor result. The opposite is this C64, which it closes like a record player, like one of the old close and play record players. It's featuring Advance of the Mega Camels, Llama Soft Games, so obviously Jeff Minter there. I'm curious about this little dial on the side. I wonder what that does. I love the fact that he's used an original C64, bread bin style keyboard with the function keys on the side. Very, very cool. I'm gonna have to do some research online to see this thing in action. That's pretty awesome. Next we have the Apple II GS. This is another one of these computers that I've never used one. There was one for sale here locally, but seeing that I have an Apple IIe that I've yet to really delve into, I figure I ought to give that its due before moving on to its older brother, the 2GS. The 2GS is sort of a weird system because it was designed to almost compete with the Macintosh, which, this is the same sort of thing that plagues all of these 80s computers companies, is that they put out multiple lines of machines to try and serve all their different markets, but what they end up doing is cannibalizing each other. And the Apple IIgs was always sort of doomed. This was, I believe, the last project that Steve Wozniak worked on at his time at Apple. And it was clear that the top brass at Apple was really focused on the Macintosh, and they didn't really give the Apple IIgs much of a push at all. And it sort of lingered on as a machine that gave you Apple II compatibility as well as a more modern GUI interface. But I'm hopeful one of these days that somebody really does a deep dive into the Apple II GS, maybe a podcast series or something to investigate and see if there were any exclusive titles. I know that this got a lot of releases in tandem with the Amiga and the Atari ST, but I don't know much more about it other than that. Other than this is just a really beautiful picture. I guess this may be a hard drive here on the side, and then you've got the classic Apple II craft style joystick, analog stick, and an external 3.5-inch drive over there. So Apple IIgs, and this was submitted by Retroviator. And of course, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but if you are interested in purchasing one of these calendars for your very own, head on over to rmcretro.store/charity-retro-calendar, and you can pick one up. Here's another picture of an Apple IIgs on the lower page here. This one's by Tim Wald. Features Dig Dug. I didn't even take a look here. I believe that this is the intro for Battle Chess. I think that that's correct, but I'm not sure, and it doesn't say, but you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. All right, so that was March. Let's see what April has in store. Oh, April, the month of the Atari ST. The Atari ST has been getting a lot of action on our channel here lately with the infamous battle episode that Aaron and the Brent did on ARG Presents. I think that the ST has always been a very visually striking machine, much more so than its compatriot, the Amiga 500, which to me was sort of a by-the-book wedge-shaped design. I love the function keys of the ST, the way that they're the molded plastic. I think that that's a good look. And I've always thought that the ST, even though I've never owned one, I've never used one outside of emulation, it's a very attractive machine no matter what its specific technical limitations might have been. Here it's featured playing Speedball, one of the better Bitmap Brothers games, and I guess it came with a Speedball comic book in the Image Comics imprint. Pretty neat. I'd like to check that out at some point, as well as the poster. This is back, of course, in the day when you got tons of awesome stuff with your games. Looks like this image of the ST was submitted by Waz Brown. This is an Atari 1040 STE, so one of the more exotic members of the ST line, the ST, a later release that had expanded, of course, capabilities, hence the E in the name. I guess that stands for expanded, I don't know. Okay, now we get more into the DOS side of things, the Tandy line of computers. This is a Tandy 1000 from 1984. So I guess this was the original Tandy computer. Again, you have the TRS-80 Deluxe joystick. This is sort of interesting. I'm wondering if this joystick, if the port on the back of the 1000 was the same as the port on the Coco, because that definitely looks the same as the TRS-80 Deluxe joystick that you see directly behind me. If they sold one with multiple joystick adapters for the because the DOS always had that long serial joystick adapter. I'm guessing that's probably true. They probably sold multiple versions of this, one for the Tandy 1000 and one for the Coco. But it's a great stick. I really love using that stick, and it was sort of my gateway into usable analog sticks that are self-centering. So anyway, again, with the Tandy 1000, my neighbors had a Tandy computer, but I don't recall ever playing any games on it other than Number Munchers or the educational games. So this is just another example of a system that I'd love to get into one of these days. Space Quest, the Pirates of Payton? I don't know. This photo was submitted by Mr. Lunch. Okay, now we go to something super exotic. The Carry I by Flytech Technology in 1989, submitted by the Chief. The Chief put this in. So this is a interestingly shaped computer. I don't know if this all came as one system, where the monitor and I guess the hard drive fit so seamlessly on top. And it's such a cute little thing. That it seems almost, well, obviously if you look at the shape of the keyboard, this thing is not even the length of a keyboard. It seems to be very, very, very compact, I guess, hence the name iCarry. Appears to be a IBM PC compatible device. I love these little compact systems. That was always the big draw for me with the PC Engine, was how tiny and cute it looked. And I love this little monitor. What a package. I'm sure this thing fetches a pretty penny these days. I don't know how many iCarry units were sold. It looks like the monitor even has a little built-in speaker there. So pretty neat. Pretty neat. And of course, what more can you say about Tetris, right? So down here on the bottom, there's no credit on this, but this looks like actually it's got a 5 1/4 drive, but an IBM style keyboard. So maybe this was a late ATXT style machine, with the Wolfenstein there. Control-Alt-Reese, the legend of the RMC Discord community, has submitted this next one. This is a very, very red photo of, what is it? An RM Window Box DX 4100. So this is I guess a 486 machine, I believe, or maybe an early Pentium, maybe like first generation Pentium. Yeah, he must really like Doom, because he's got the game here and this, and look at that old Gravis gamepad. Spot that anywhere. I like his audio setup too. Anything that's got that old school green LCD really adds to the ambience. And the speaker setup. This looks like a pretty nice retro battle station here. August brings us to a IBM PC compatible from 1989. This is very similar to a computer that I had growing up. Of course, I didn't have one of these, a GoTech in it. It lets you load up anything you want. But this was just your typical, boring beige box that has become more and more desirable these days as younger people get into the DOS scene. It's like Civilization 1 is loaded up here, and I love this power supply. I have a power supply just like it. This one seems like maybe it's even a little bit nicer. It's got LED status over here. Yeah, just a really nice looking PC, late 80s PC. ready to go with some DOS action. So pretty cool. And this was submitted by Pavel Moravec. Pavel Moravec put this one in. So good work, Pavel. Nice looking photo there. Speaking of the PC Engine, look at this. This is the ultimate in portable devices. This is the PC Engine LT, I believe is what it's called, right? Yeah, the PC Engine LT from 1991. I believe this was called the Turbo Express. Oh, maybe this is different than the Turbo Express. I think this is the Turbo Express was almost Game Boy shaped, and this is more like a cross between a portable system and the PS1 that you know, when Sony released that little PlayStation that had the built-in monitor. I love stuff like this. Again, you know, it's just so compact, so cute. I'm sure that LCD is difficult to use these days now that we're used to our ultra bright, high quality LCDs. But man, what a cool system with the cue card just slotted right there in the front. You can look at the label of the cart while you're playing the game, which I think is super cool too. I never understood, for example, like on the Atari 7800. I think the 2600 too, although I can't be sure. It's been a while since I've used a 2600, but on the 7800, you plug it in and the label is facing away from you. I never understood that because, you know, you're, again, any chance that you can to associate the game with the artwork, you know, it just adds to the experience. So it's with Bomberman 93 Hue card. Great game for the PC Engine. Johnny Blanchard submitted that particular image of the PC Engine LT, and over here we have the classic Sega Game Gear Ninja Gaiden from David Sutcliffe. Much has been said about the stellar battery life of the Game Gear over the years, but it's, you know, just like everything, it's got its fans, it's got its following, and I'm sure that there are some upgrades that one can perform, maybe even adding a lithium-ion battery and maybe some screen upgrades, and then you've got something going on there, right? October, we have the Commodore 64SX. This is on the short list of Commodore machines I would love to own. This is the portable, of course, C64, the luggable, if you will. The keyboard just snaps right onto the top of the case, giving you, and you've got your built-in tiny color screen. That tiny color screen, I'm sure, was something to behold when it was first released. Tiny CRT, and then you've got your drive. So you can load up whatever games you want, and you can take your Commodore with you on the go. This is the first time that I've seen one of these so up close, and again, the quality of the screen just seems very impressive. Like I said, I would love to own one of these. They are among the more high dollar items you can peruse on eBay at your leisure. This was submitted by Roy Templeman, and we talked about this on This Week in Retro, but if you want to see, I think it's the C64 SX, one of the best ads ever is this businessman lounging by the pool with, you know, swimsuit clad ladies around him, and he's just working, you know, at his office with his, you can live that lifestyle if you get one of these SX 64s. Just take it out with you to the pool. Bring a long extension cord. November brings us to the Philips NmS 8250. I gotta admit, this is one that I don't know much about. I guess it's an MSX machine. Okay, so this a couple things give it away. One is that you got Metal Gear on here. Two, you've got MSX on the box, so it's no great shakes for me to figure that out. But three, you have the distinctive MSX arrow keys here. Some of the systems actually had a little thing for a mini joystick as well. MSX, no matter who made it, this is a Philips model, but some of the most attractive looking 8-bit computers of all time. I think it puts to shame any of the American efforts. The Breadbin C64 has got nothing on the MSX. This is, I guess, is a tower model, because as you can see, the cartridge port in here on the side. So this must have been a later model. Looks like this game was a later model too. 1998? No, that's got to be 1990, right? Okay, never mind, I'm an idiot. So this MSX NmS 8250 from 1987, Cage Man, otherwise known as Arjun, or perhaps back around the other way, including this pretty rad looking arcade stick. I'd like to know more about that. And we round out the year with nothing better than the Tatung Einstein. So this is a system that we came to know in doing the Our Sinclair podcast. This is the system that many ZX Spectrum games were actually developed on because it had a usable keyboard. They were developed on the Einstein and then ported over to the ZX Spectrum for mass consumption. I'm not sure how popular the Einstein was back in the day, but you see the name pop up now and again. This might have been a system that was more, widely used in schools and things like that. It has a very academic look to it, doesn't it? The way the lines come down. Sort of reminds me of a PET style, enveloped keyboard with lots of white space on both sides. What a cool looking machine, the Tatung Einstein. So yeah, and this was submitted by Mark Heslop. And of course, you can't have an RMC calendar without at least one Amiga in the mix. And so here at the end of the year, a little eye candy to send you home to 2022, the Amiga 2000. This was sent in by Ryan Ashford. Another, he's got the dual monitor setup, so I guess he's got this maybe, I don't know what this is. I'm gonna have to get my face in there. It's too far away. I can't read what this other system is, but Amiga 2000 right here again with that awesome power supply. Ryan Ashford sent that one in. So anyway, I hope this look at RMC's calendar has encouraged you to go and purchase one and help HEALS of Malmesbury. There's a lot of people in need right now, and if you have a chance to support them and get a friendly reminder of all your favorite classic computers throughout the course of the year, then make sure you check this out over at rmcretro.store. And of course, we have a plethora of older machines here on the back, including a Amstrad CPC 464, Sega Saturn, and Altair 8800. Just tons and tons of great stuff. So again, thank you to Neil for putting this together. I've purchased multiple copies to give as Christmas gifts. These things make great gifts, of course, to all of your retro loving friends. And a thank you to everybody who submitted images for this calendar. It's a great community effort. There's no better community than the Amigos retro gaming community, but in a strong second place, the RMC community, of course, which is like New York City compared to, Hurricane, West Virginia in terms of its size. But the RMC community, very, very, very strong, very helpful, very nice, very giving community. Check it out, the RMC Charity Calendar in aid of HEALS of Malmesbury. We'll see you guys next time. Adios.